Hey folks, Bernakevitch here with All Points Design. That's allpointsdesign.ca. Today we're taking a look at the Oregon State University Permaculture Design template and specifically inserting and manipulating objects. You'll find that we can insert a number of different types of objects into Google Slides. If we go up to insert, you'll see that we can insert images, text box, audio, video. Sometimes students and clients like to upload or send us videos, and it can be useful to have them in different areas like the client survey or the design site review. Sometimes we'll put in shapes and arrows and call outs, especially when we get to our base map. Sometimes we'll put in tables, which we can make quite easily, showcasing how many columns we want and then how many rows. This can be an easy way to put in a table to showcase different types of information, data, or even legends. Sometimes we'll put in a chart. We don't do a lot of chart creation, at least in this course, but you could. Diagrams, word art, and then we do a fair number of lines, which we'll get into in the base map assignment. Generally, when we bring something in like this object, you'll see that when you click on it, it is blue highlighted, and then it has a number of transformation nodes. Now, if we click on any one of these transformation nodes and hold it, you'll see that we'll start to get the ability to change its size by moving around our mouse. As we move it up and down, you'll find that sometimes you'll get a red line. That red line shows you that it's found something else to reference to. So for example, if I move this around, eventually I'll get a center line, and that center line tells me that I'm dead center on the slide, and that might be a good place to leave it. Of course, I'm not at the bottom, so I'd have to click that again and then draw it down. So that's an easy way to transform. If we're bringing in an image, like we were showing before, we can bring that in from downloads, and we can either insert it or grab it and then drag it in and just release it onto the slide itself. We can then manipulate and move it around. And as we said before during a previous tutorial, we can then order that and move that, send that backwards, or bring that to front, order to front. So that's another way of bringing in and transforming elements. If we're going to bring in a text box, so insert text box, you'll see that nothing comes up. That's because the cursor has turned to a crosshair, you can see here, and it's waiting for us to click and hold and drag out how big we want that text box to be. So right now I've clicked and I'm holding the mouse, showing how big this box is going to be. It'll usually default to a basic font and font size. I can type whatever I want in this box, and then I can change it. And one of the reasons for keeping your text box close to the text size is, especially when you're dragging and moving things around in the template, it's really easy to click on something else if the text box is bigger. So you may want to drag in that side. And all I did there was just grab on the right center transformation node and pull it into the size I want. And then I let go. We may want to change the font size, so we can triple click or highlight this. So we can click and highlight all of this. And then we can go up here and we can manually increase the font size by clicking the plus button, or we can double click internally and we have a number of presets. So we could click it up to 60, or we could triple click and I could just put in the number that I want if I'm mucking about and trying to find a really good font size. We can also work with different types of fonts. Generally, I would recommend not worrying so much about changing fonts. The fonts have been selected, at least for this portion of the course, to work with what we have and to make it relatively easy so you can focus on the course. We'll say this a number of times. This is a course about thinking. It is not a course about graphical rendering or artistic rendering. This is a course about thinking. And as a good colleague of mine who's an instructor in the course said to me once, I'd much rather my clients pay for installation than pretty pictures. And this is one of the reasons why he actually designs with PowerPoint and always has, because he wants the quickest, easiest way to get a design on paper, because the majority of what clients pay us for is the thinking, the work that goes on between our ears. So when you're working within Google Slides, there's a number of elements that we can click and move around and change. And we'll get into this in great detail when we get down into the base map, because there's lots of little things that we can move around and change. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.